All right, we're going to be looking at multiplying out an expression. So we looked a little bit at this in a couple of lectures ago. And we're going to multiply out the expression to the SOP form. Okay, so last time we kind of discussed about simplifying. We looked at the distributive law. And the distributive law said something as the following. If I have x and with yz, I can take that to be xy plus or xz. Okay, so we can do that. All right, so let's try to see how we can use this form. And let's do an example. In this example, let's do, I have q plus ab bar. And that is going to be ended with q bar and c bar d. All right, so what I want to do is I want to take this first piece here. I want to call that x. And then I'm going to call the q bar y and the cd as z. Okay, so I know this is going to come out to be xy plus xz. Okay, so let's do that. I have these terms. I am looking for xy or xz, and then I'm going to substitute back in. So let me substitute back in. My x is q plus ab bar. My y was q bar, or with, again, q plus ab bar. And the z is c bar d. All right, now that I have these, again, I'm going to apply the same principle to it. I'm going to say q bar is x, say q is y, ab is z. So I want to do the same item. The same item that would give me xy plus xz. Over here in the blue, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say c bar d is x, a y plus a z. So I'm going to get plus an xy plus an xz. All right, let me substitute back in. I get q bar q plus q bar ab bar plus c bar d q plus c bar d ab bar. Okay, items I can see is I can look at this q bar and a q. Well, those will always be conflicting. That was one of the theorems we had, and that turns out to be a 0. Okay, so since it's 0, I'm just not going to write it down. So I'm going to take this expression. I'm just going to clean it up by putting stuff in alphabetical order. I have a b bar q plus c bar d q plus a b bar c bar d. All right, so we get these terms. And in these terms, what we're going to end up having is the result is that we have this term here that could be removed. And it's not real easy to see how to remove it. This will be in another lecture where we're going to use consensus theorem to remove it. But we did quite a bit of work here. And we want to see, could we reduce the amount of work that we needed? In order to reduce the amount of work that we needed, to reduce work, we want to look at a different principle. We want to look at our multiplying out theorem. And our multiplying out theorem is going to be the following. It's going to say if I have x plus y with x bar plus z, that could be turned into xz plus x bar y. Okay, so let's see how we can use this theorem. Let's write down our equation again. Q plus AB bar with Q bar plus C bar D. All right, so we're going to do that. Now let's take this, and we know Q is going to be our X. This Q bar is going to be our X bar. All right, so I'm going to do A and B as Y, and then I'm going to do C bar D as Z. And that whole item is going to come out to XZ plus X bar Y. All right, so let's substitute back in. X is Q, Z is C bar D, plus X bar is our Q bar, and our Y is a B bar. And you see here, we have two terms. This is the less number of terms, the better. See, so it's the exact same equation, but we got rid of this A, B bar, C bar, D bar. And we would need to go through extra steps in order to get to that final answer. So we can see that using this multiplying out theorem really works to our advantage. All right, let's do a long example and see how we can get it to work. All right, so we're going to do A bar ORed with B bar ORed with C bar. That's one term. We're going to have a total of 5 terms. Next term is A or C or D bar. Next term is going to be A or B. Next term is going to be A bar or D. And then our last term is going to be A bar or C or D. Now there's a lot of items of where we can work on. So I'm going to pick one item first, and then we're just going to start manipulating from there. Okay, so let's start by looking at these two terms in yellow. All right, the expression that I'm going to keep wanting to use is I'll write out what the expressions are that we're going to use. Okay, so if we look at these items, I'm going to say A is X. I have an X. I have a C and a D bar. I'm going to call that Y. So I'm going to have X plus Y, and then I'm going to have X plus a Z here. And X plus Y, X plus Z, this turns out to be X plus YZ. All right, so let me write that out. I'm going to substitute items back in. Okay, so I need X. X is A, plus I need a YZ. That will be B with the C plus the D bar. Now, a big item is I had 2 items in a quantity. I'm keeping them as their own term. All right, so we got that. Now, the next item is I'm going to work on this item in blue here. Okay, in blue here, I have an A bar plus a D. I'm going to say that's X. And here I have an A bar plus a D. That's also an X. I'm going to say that is ORed with, I'm going to use C as the term Y. So I have X with X plus Y. From our list of theorems, that turns out to be X. So all that's going to be X. I'm going to get rid of the C part. Okay, so I'm going to substitute back in. The items in black are staying. Okay, so I'm only keeping the X. What is the X? The X is the quantity of A bar or D. All right, so we see that we're making a good number of reductions. This is, good amount of work that we're doing. Okay, next item is I'm going to look at this A bar D, and I'm going to look at this A bar, B bar, C bar. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take A bar, and A bar. I'm going to have those be X. And then I'm going to have the B bar, C bar. I'm going to have that be Z. I'm going to have D be Y. So I have X or Z, and it with X or Y. And that turns out to be x plus yz. All right, so let me substitute back in. What's my x? My x is a bar. What's my y? My y is d. What's my z? That's b bar plus c bar. All right, now I'm down to 2 terms. So I'm making progress here. Okay, now that I have these 2 terms, I'm going to have a bar be my x bar. I have a be my x. I'm going to have this d, b bar, c bar, be z. And then I'm going to have the b, the c plus d bar, be my y. All right. X bar or z ANDed with x or y gets us xz or x bar y. Okay, so let's substitute back in. My x is a. What was my z? My z is d with b bar or c bar. Then I'm going to do x bar. Well, x bar is a bar with my y, which is b, c plus d bar. So we're almost to sum of products. I just have one sum that I need to kind of work on. And how am I going to work on this product here? They're going to take AD to be X. I'm going to take this to be Y with a Z. And that would turn out to be XY plus XZ. Going to do the same thing in blue over here. I'm going to say A bar B is X, C is Y, D bar is Z. Okay, so let's substitute back in. What's my X? My X in red is AD. My Y is B bar. My X is AD. My Z is C bar. All right. My X is A bar B. My Y is C. My X is A bar B. And Z is D bar. So now we're down to these 4 terms. So we had a mixture of items that we used. So let's just scan back to the beginning. Here we use our distributive properties. We use a theorem to say we can have a reduction of a term that's being used twice. We did distributive again, and then we did this multiplying out theorem at the end. So we can see how we can move through a problem. All right, next video, we'll talk about factoring out from a sum of products into a product of sum result.